How look you throwing things over there to the queen? What kind of country is this that you could just walk up to the queen and just bang them things at her? I done had some coffee today. Anything's bound to happen. Well, hello there, love bugs. Hello there, Bellas. If you have not already done so, please remember to like, share to Facebook, subscribe, and visit uptopbeauty.com for these JT RZA shades. We have them in black and brown and this black turban. And if you are not already a part of this book club, please hit the Patreon link below and or the join button here on the YouTube. And for a small monthly fee of $5, you babies, yes, yo, can be privy to all the shenanigans before the YouTube gets it, if the YouTube gets it. Now, let's talk about you paying big club members, you already know. But for the others of yous, bam! Prince Harry's spare. I know you like, Nay, it's Black History Month. Why the hell we talk about him? There were always stories. People would whisper now and then about folks who hadn't fared well at Balmoral. I'm not from England. I'm from Washington, D.C., America. So if I pronounce some of these words wrong, my bad. There were always stories. People would whisper now and then about folks who hadn't fared well at Balmoral. The long ago queen, for instance, mad with grief, she'd locked herself inside Balmoral Castle and vowed never to come out. And the very proper former prime minister, he'd called the place surreal and utterly freaky. Still, I don't think I heard those stories until much later. Or maybe I heard them and they didn't register. To me, Balmoral was always simply paradise. A cross between Disney World and some sacred Druid grove. I was always too busy fishing, shooting, running up and down the hill to notice anything off about the feng shui in the old castle. What I'm trying to say is I was happy there. In fact, it's possibly that I was never happier than that one golden summer day at Balmoral, August 30th, 1997. Granny was there. Naturally, she spent most of every summer at Balmoral. And Grandpa and Willie is Prince William. I didn't know that. I know you like, Nate, why you didn't know that Willie would be Prince William? I don't know. Because we don't call here in America Williams Willie. We call him Bill. She spent most of every summer at Balmoral, and Grandpa and Willie and Paul. The whole family, with the exception of Mummy, because Mummy was no longer part of the family. She'd either bolted or been thrown out, depending on whom you asked, though I never asked. Yeah, don't be talking to me about no bull stuff about my mama or my mammy. Whenever Mummy, don't get mad at me if I say mommy instead of mummy. Wherever Mummy was, I understood that she was with her new friend. That was the word everyone used. Not boyfriend, not lover, friend. Nice enough bloke. That mean dude over here in America. Bloke mean dude. Or man. Guy. But I say dude. Willie and I had just met him. Actually, we'd been with Mummy weeks earlier when she first met him in St. Tropez. We were having a grand time, just the three of us, staying at some old gent's villa. There was much laughter, horseplay, the norm whenever Mummy and Willie and I were together, though even more so on that holiday. A shock to the system going from sun-drenched St. Tropez to cloud-shadowed Balmoral. I vaguely remember that shock, though I can't remember much else about our first week at the castle. Still, I can almost guarantee it was spent mostly outdoors. My family lived to be outdoors, especially Granny, who got cross if she didn't breathe at least an hour of fresh air. Born September 15th, 1984, I was christened Henry Charles Albert David of Wales. But from day one, everyone called me. Now, at this point, he is describing the castle and the subtle nuances that made the castle important to him. Hence, a statue of Queen Victoria. Child, you know how over here in America, they scrutinize the hells out of the president and their children. But it's like comparing our drama with our leaders to their drama. Girl, we ain't got nothing compared to the royals. Hold tight. Near Granny's lift, through a pair of crimson saloon doors and along a green tartan floor, was a smallish staircase with a heavy iron banister. It led up to the second floor where stood a statue of Queen Victoria. I always bowed to her as I passed. Your Majesty. Willie did too. We'd been told to, but I'd have done it anyway. I found the grandmother of Europe hugely compelling, and not just because Granny loved her, nor because Paul once wanted to name me after her husband. Princess Diana said, answer no. No. Charles, no. Victoria knew great love, soaring happiness, but her life was essentially tragic. Her father, Prince Edward, Duke of Kent and Strathern, was said to be a sadist, sexually aroused by the sight of soldiers being horsewhipped, and her dear husband, Albert, died before her eyes. Also, during her long, lonely reign, she was shot at 8 times on 8 separate occasions by 7 different subjects. Let me take hold on, pause. I need to pause on that. How look you throwing things over there to the queen? What kind of country is this that you could just walk up to the queen and just bang them things at her? Where the hell is the royal bodyguards at? How that work? Balmoral had 50 bedrooms, one of which had been divided for me and Willie. Adults called it the nursery. Willie had the larger half, with a double bed, a good-sized basin, a cupboard with mirrored doors, a beautiful window looking down on the courtyard, the fountain, and the bronze statue of a roe deer buck. My half of the room was far smaller, less luxurious. I never asked why. I didn't care. But I also didn't need to ask. 2 years older than me, Willie was the heir, whereas I was the spare. At first, I didn't understand why he named the book The Spare. I didn't get it because I was like, what is he talking about? A spare tire, a spare room, a spare bitch. What is he talking about? But now I get it. I didn't realize how insignificant the children were or felt if they were not destined for royalty or for the crown. With that being explained, I can kind of understand some of Harry's firecrotch. I can understand some of Harry's reckless behavior. Now, you know he's a Virgo, okay? And you know the mother hunchies never take accountability for their own bad behavior. But I get it. You know, I get the sense of it doesn't matter anyway from this book. Okay, let me continue. The heir and the spare. There was no judgment about it, but also no ambiguity. I was the shadow, the support, the plan B. I was brought into the world in case something happened to Willie. I was summoned to provide backup distraction, diversion, and if necessary, a spare part. Kidney, perhaps. Blood transfusion. Speck of bone marrow. This was all made explicitly clear to me from the start of life's journey and regularly reinforced thereafter. I was 20 the first time I heard the story of what Paul allegedly said to mommy the day of my birth. Wonderful. Now you've given me an heir and to spare. My work is done. No, I heard that King Charles is old. He coming. We coming. Okay, because he gonna expose a little bit of his pappy's personality too. But I don't want none of you Europeans coming over here trying to find me, and bang a thing at me. I took no offense. I felt nothing about it, any of it. Secession was like the weather or the positions of the planets or the turn of the season. Kind of like what I felt like as the oldest sibling. I know you'd be like, Nay, you need to get some help. I do. As the oldest sibling, when you're not a royal, you just feel like your job is to take care of the younger siblings, period. That's all you here for. To be the backup mama. That's it. And you don't really question it, but you understand your placement. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I feel Prince Harry is going through. It is what it is, And along the way, you want to break free. Now, moving on to another nuance of being a royal in the castle. Child, let me tell you what messed me up. You would have to sit there at the table. Nobody could eat until everybody was at the table. You done knocked me out for the day. That's what? We gotta sit here and wait for dad to get here? Hell no, we don't even know what time he gonna be here. No, that's a no. But that's how it was. You had to go down to the table, dressed properly, sit there, 13 centimeters and 7 inches away from your brother or your grandmammy, whoever, and wait for everybody, or especially that certain somebody, in this instance, Prince/King Charles, to come down. He come running in. Oh, my bad. I'm late. Ninja, if you don't sit your ass down so we can eat. Willie and I finished dinner, watched some more TV, then got up to our typical pre-bedtime hijinks. We perched on the top step of the side staircase and eavesdropped on the adults, hoping to hear a naughty word or a story. Okay. My bed was tall. I had to jump to get in, after which I rolled down into its sunken center. I pulled the sheets and covers to my chin because I didn't like the dark. No, not true. I loathed the dark. Mommy did too. She told me so. I'd inherited things from her I thought along with her nose, her blue eyes, her love of people, her hatred of smugness and fakery, and all things posh. I can see myself under those covers, staring into the dark, listening to the clicky insects and hooty owls. Did I imagine shapes sliding along the walls? Did I stare at the bar of light along the floor, which was always there because I always insisted on the door being left open a crack? How much time elapsed before I dropped off? In other words, how much of my childhood remained and how much did I cherish it, savor it, before groggily becoming aware of Paul? He was standing at the edge of the bed looking down. His white dressing gown made him seem like a ghost in a play. Yes, darling boy. He gave a half smile, averted his gaze. The room wasn't dark anymore, wasn't light either. Strange in between shade, almost brownish, almost like the water in the ancient tub. Ugh. He looked at me in a funny way, a way he'd never looked at me before, with fear. What is it, Pa? He sat down on the edge of the bed. He put a hand on my knee. Darling boy, Mommy's been in a car crash. I remember thinking, crash? Okay, but she's all right, yes? I vividly remember that thought flashing through my mind, and I remember waiting patiently for Paul to confirm that indeed Mommy was all right. And I remember him not doing that. There was then a shift internally. I began silently pleading with Paul or God or both. No, no, no. Paul looked down into the folds of the old quilts and blankets and sheets. There were complications. Mommy was quite badly injured and taken to the hospital, darling boy. He always called me darling boy, but he was saying it quite a lot now. His voice was soft. He was in shock, it seemed. Oh, hospital. Yes, with a head injury. Did he mention paparazzi? Did he say she'd been chased? I don't think so. I can't swear to it, but probably not. The paparazzi was such a problem for Mommy, for everyone. It didn't need to be said. I thought again. Injured, but she's okay. She's been taken to hospital. They'll fix her head, and we'll go and see her tonight, at the latest. They tried, darling boy. I'm afraid she didn't make it. Pa didn't hug me. He wasn't great at showing emotions under normal circumstances. How could he be expected to show items in such crisis? But his hand did fall once more on my knee, and he said, "It's going to be okay." I lay there, or sat there. I didn't get up. I didn't bathe, didn't pee, didn't get dressed, didn't call out to Willie. After decades of working to reconstruct the morning, I've come to one inescapable conclusion. I must have remained in that room, saying nothing, seeing no one until 9 a.m. sharp, when the piper began to play outside. Paul left for Paris, accompanied by Mommy's sister, Aunt Sarah, and Aunt Jane. They needed to learn more about the crash, someone said, and they needed to arrange for the return of Mommy's body. Body. People kept using that word. It was a punch in the throat, a bloody lie, because Mommy wasn't dead. The next few days passed in a vacuum. If anyone talked about anything, I didn't hear them. The only voice I heard was the one droning in my head, arguing with itself. She's gone? No, she's hiding. She's dead? No, she's playing dead. Poor baby. William, Harry, Aunt Sarah has something for you boys. She stepped forward, holding 2 tiny blue boxes. What's this? Open it. But the aunt gave the boys boxes of Princess Diana's hair. I don't know how to feel about that. Of her hair? I don't know. But I do know when my aunt passed, they made her ashes into a necklace. Not like a necklace, not rolling it up and, making a necklace out of it. But they had little containers, and it had some of my aunt's ashes hanging on the necklace. But hair, I don't know. Tell me what you guys think about it. It just was weird. Willie and I walked up and down the crowds outside Kensington Palace, smiling, shaking hands as if we were running for office. Hundreds and hundreds of hands were thrust continually into our face, the fingers often wet. From what I wondered, tears, I realized. I remember the mounds of flowers all around us. I remember feeling unspeakable sorrow and yet being unfailingly polite. After offering ourselves up to the crowds, we went into Kensington Palace. We entered through 2 big black doors into Mommy's apartment, went down a long corridor and into a room off the left. There was some discussion about the next day's funeral. Per the latest plan, the coffin would be pulled through the streets on a horse-drawn carriage by the king's troop, while Willie and I followed on foot. It seemed a lot to ask of 2 young boys. Several adults were aghast. Mommy's brother, Uncle Charles, raised hell. "You can't make these boys walk behind their mother's coffin. It's barbaric." An alternative plan put forward, Willie would walk alone. He was 15, after all. Leave the younger one out of it. Spare the spare. This alternative plan was sent up the chain. Back came the answer. It must be both princes. To garner sympathy, presumably. Uncle Charles was furious, but I wasn't. I didn't want Willie to undergo an ordeal like that without me. Had the roles been reversed, he indeed allowed me to go it alone.
Oh, my life.